Plastering, and my co-hosts are
Kayla Alvarado with O'Donnell Plastering. I cover labor compliance and payroll.
Hi, I'm Kira with O'Donnell Plastering. I'm the safety manager and I handle the IT.
Here we are going to get to meet industry professionals and hear a little bit about their story. Thanks for joining us. Good morning and welcome back to Beyond the Trowel. Today we have a special guest with us. I was super excited. We have a very great relationship. We like to say even he's part of our family. None other than Rui Bronze.
Thank you for having me this morning. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you for joining us. So, let's just start off with, we have worked together for so long. Been here almost 30 years, and I think all that I've known you. Started back with GDS going to the barbecues, but I know it started way back before that with my parents. So
It's been about 30 plus years when I first met your mom and dad. It was one of my first customers that I was told I needed to go get some business from the O'Donnell Plastering. Mm-hmm. Had no clue what O'Donnell Plastering was and have no clue who they were. And so I can recall walking into O'Donnell Plastering's office at the Bills Exchange in Santa Clara. And remember seeing Chet and Marlene. Chet then gave me the time of day. I brought some donuts in. And for 6 months, I kept coming, a couple times a month. And then finally, he goes, "Do you have this?" I said, "Yes, I do."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Well, give me some." And that was the beginning of our relationship 30 years later.
And we're talking about material, not donuts.
Yeah, material. Not donuts.
Right.
Yes. That's how our relationship started. And like you said, it turned into a friendship and a business relationship. So it's not just a client, salesman relationship. It developed a lot better and a lot of things like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've always have talked about you, and wherever you go, we're going with you, and I love our table chats,
Yes.
hence why we're here today. But we've always been able to very much talk open freely, and something we definitely appreciate. And I think it's built our relationship definitely to more of a, friendship, and love that.
Our
So
table
thank you.
chats never last only a sales call, which is usually about 10, 15 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
It lasts 45 minutes to an hour because we cover all the bases.
Everything,
Yes.
everything. You name it, we're talking about it.
Yes.
So there is no secrets here. We are definitely an open book and something we value and treasure.
Yep.
Thank you very much. So going back to, our Beyond the Trowel, and we do have some questions. So we're just going to go down the list and kind of see where it takes us. So what do you believe are the keys to building a strong long-term relationship with the contractors?
What I've learned is you have to be honest. You have to be truthful. If you're going to say something, you got to stand behind it. If you're going to give a contractor a price, you have to make sure that you honor that. A lot of the other salespeople, either in our industry or other industry, come back and say, "Well, by the way, the price has changed." And if you're going to commit to something, you have to stick to that. And I think that's how the contractor and you build that relationship is honesty. And I think that's what it takes to do that.
Absolutely. Always come in also with the no haggle free, right?
Yes.
Best price and,
Best price has always been the O'Donnell.
Absolutely.
You don't have a best price, you're out the door.
Yeah. Hey, 5 cents can make that big difference.
That's correct.
So, shoot, you know us too well. Describe a situation where you went above and beyond to meet a client's needs. And I know you do this well. Because I think just going back to your personal relationships, not just with us, but with all your clients, you have always gone over and beyond. So anything in particular?
I think,
What's your special knack?
my thing is being honest. And to build a relationship, it takes trust. and it takes commitment. It's an investment in a contractor. Because if you're building a relationship, you have to talk a little bit about family, a little bit about work, and then that develops that relationship. If you cannot achieve that, you're never going to have a good relationship with that contractor. You're always going to be known as a guy, can you give me the best price? Yes, I can. Have a nice day. When can I get the next order?
Right.
So
right.
a relationship, it takes time. And to go above and beyond is when the contractor calls you and says, hey, I need something tomorrow right away, can you help me? Then it's my job to go back to the dealer, my company, and say, hey, look, I need help on this. Can you make this achieve? And then once you start doing that, then the contractor depends on you, and that's how that relationship starts. You
Right.
always go above and beyond help. Now, there's times you can't, but I try all the time to achieve that.
And you brought us in today these hot pastries that are still warm on the bottom. How much more can you ask for?
Yeah, I don't bring
So-
donuts. I don't go buy the
Right.
donuts and buy a $12. If you're going to bring something, bring some pastries.
Well, we have told you we're, needing fruit over here. So we should have some fruit next time. But you know what? Let's back up for a minute because I know you explained a little bit about your relationship and how it started with us. But what about you? How did you start in this industry?
I started this industry. I started back when I was young, and I drove a cement mixer for a company called Pacific Ready Mix. Back in the days, I drove the cement mixer for 5 years. I really enjoyed that, and then I left that industry, and then I sold some coffee services, and then I sold some insurance. So I've always liked sales. I've always liked people. I loved insurance because I liked going into someone's house and sitting across from a wife and a husband and trying to convince them that they need life insurance to help, which they did, but that was always a challenge. And I loved when I walked away with an insurance policy, I loved that. That gave me a rush. And so a lot of times I'd pull up to the house and the lights would go off. You knock on the door, there's nobody there.
Yeah.
So that's how I started, and then I got an opportunity by a gentleman named Dan Silva, worked for Pacific Ready Mix, building materials in Redwood City, and he gave me an opportunity, and that's how I got started in this industry. And I've been in it for 30 plus years, and I've enjoyed it always.
And do you want to mention, you went from ready mix to...
Yeah, so my career's pretty much gone from Pacific Ready Mix. I was there for 6 years. They closed down that division, and then from there I went to a company called King Stucco. Manny and Tony Rios and Coke Rios. Coke Rios was an awesome man.
Okay. And they're doing something different now, still in the industry.
Still in the industry, I think now. Well, I don't think. I know that they're now called Rivers Del Rey,
Oh, okay.
and they're in Gilroy.
Got it?
And so then I was with them for 7 years, and then I left and I went to L&W, which at that time was called GDS San Jose.
Yeah. Those Friday barbecues were the
I
best.
had a great time there.
Yeah.
That's where I started developing and kind of growing in the industry.
Right.
And so you keep talking about the barbecue. So then I planned this barbecue every month for 12 months. I mean, for a whole year. And we'd have anywhere from 100 people to 175 people.
Well, and it was also a great time just to network with, when we talk about Mike Locks.
Yes.
Audrey, we established such a great relationship with her.
Yes.
Just, seeing the other faces in the industry, I think is really kind of where it got started, all the networking.
Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. So we had a great time there, did a lot of damage there. And so then from there, I was there for 7 years. And then from there, I went to AMS. Max Gondon was the owner of AMS, and I worked out of San Jose. And so I was there for 7 years. And then when Max sold the company, I didn't want to stay there. And so my new chapter began at BMI in the silo system in Milpitas, and
Right.
I was their vice president there for 16 years.
Yeah.
And that was my passion. I mean, I truly, to this day, BMI was a great product. The factory was awesome. Great people. Tom Brisica with Calstone.
Yeah.
Donnie Cougar. the drivers. Was only about 15 people worked there, but we took that from where people did not want to use the silo system to now, excuse me, they're addicted to the silo system.
Right.
And now we can't get it. And it's really sad to watch a company like Sika buy a company like that and then pretty much destroy it.
Right. I remember our guys just, it made everything just more economical to where you didn't have the bags of cement, and all the silica, right? And the dust and everything, and it made it a lot cleaner.
Yeah, but
And
that was a
then-
challenge, though. I mean,
Yeah.
when I first went there, people did not want to use the silo system. They couldn't see the value.
Right.
They couldn't compare the cost of a bag of cement to a ton of 690, and that was really tough.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to, when I say we at BMI, had to convince people to take their mixers in the back of their Tommy guns and take that out so the silo would fit on there.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, that was a challenge. And your dad, I can remember sitting at this table with your dad, and he goes, I don't know if I want to use a rocket ship. So he used
Right.
to call the silos rocket ships. And so I remember spending, 3-4 months telling him this is the way to go. And then finally,
Yeah.
he saw it. We did one job with him. And then after that, it was a system that to
Right.
this day people love using.
Right. We were just at the NAWIC National Conference, and Sika was there.
Yep.
And I ran to the booth and said, hey, what happened to the silos? They didn't have a clue.
They don't.
But they weren't, obviously a national, conference.
Yes.
They're from all over the area.
Yes.
But as soon as I said BMI, they knew. They were like, oh, wait, we did hear. And, it kind of just gave them like, hey, we were so disappointed, da-da-da. So it was cool because I kind of gave them some information, and they were going to run back like, "Hey, what happened and why and what?" So, definitely
if BMI hadn't
disappointed.
sold out to Sika,
Yeah.
I know in my heart that still would be at BMI today.
Yeah,
I believed in that product, loved the product, loved the system.
Right.
It was, I was there for 16 years.
right.
It was a long time.
So, any viewers out there, if you have, couple million, go buy it and bring it back, right?
It's more than a couple million.
Yes, but
And now I'm
So
with
cool.
L&W.
Yeah.
So love L&W, came back to where I started. L&W is a fine company. It's grown. It's L&W is owned by ABC, roofing supply, another massive company. And I love their company.
Yeah.
It's just really good.
And going to that, I also made some notes because you and knowing you and working from, with Action and L&W, they are women owned, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, and you have always have spoken so highly because I met with Terry. You brought Terry in with
Terry
Action
King, yep.
a while ago, and she came in recently. And still, you had spoke so highly, even working with another company, and now with Diane. Explain that. The
Well,
dynamics.
Terry
and-
Keene, when I first met her, she was awesome. She's a salesperson. She grew up in sales, and now she owns an action company. But she's incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible woman, and I respect that.
Yeah, she's neat.
Now ABC is also a woman-owned company. I haven't met her though.
Yeah.
So,
Well, when you do,
but-
make sure you
but
bring
one-
her here.
I
Because
know,
you've
one
told
day-
me her story, and it's pretty remarkable.
Yeah,
and
she's an amazing woman.
Yeah,
And what she's accomplished with this company.
absolutely. No, her story is very inspiring, very unique.
Yeah.
And she's definitely have made her mark in our industry.
Yes.
So that's exciting. I love that. So going to, from the times that you started to right now, obviously, the times have changed, and with the industry and the market and new products, the innovation that's out there, I think, what have you seen with the materials and products, and what are you most excited about? What's the change that you've seen the biggest?
Well, the biggest change a while back was the acrylic finish when it came into the industry. The acrylic line was mostly a Eves product, but then they started using the acrylic finishes for scratch and brown and putting that on there. So to me, the acrylic finish is a big innovation. The products are still the same. The cement, still sand cement. It's still stucco base and finish. So struck to wire was a big industry change when they first came in. They kind of took over that market a little bit. But the products are pretty much all the same. People have tried to improve them. The flashing paper, the Henry's paper, that's something that they work hard to try to. Waterproofing is kind of a
right. I think we're seeing a big jump in that right now.
Yeah.
Because I know we've been taking on, exactly the Henry, the blue skin out there. Then you have the green frog system.
There's so many out there.
Yeah,
It's
there
hard to
is.
keep track of all of them.
But I think that's definitely becoming part of our system. That we include in our bids when it's specified. But yeah, I think that's something
one of the
new.
things also too is architects. I don't think they do a very good job changing with the times. They're still listing products that was like 30, 40 years ago. We're all going,
Keeping up to date with
like,
what's
what
new
was
out there.
that? Where do I find that? And then
Yeah.
they said, no, we want that. Well, that stuff's not made. It's not available anymore.
Yeah.
So I think that needs to kind of change a little bit. But it's, I'm sure for the architects, hard work. But I know that these manufacturers go in there and talk to them all the time. So they should be easy to transfer over.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that. The manufacturers, that's their job, I guess, to go in and try to
Correct.
sell it to get them to
Correct.
be in the specifications on that. Yeah. And then I had a question. Darn it, I
It's
just
okay. You'll
forgot.
come back.
I know. See what happens when you start getting older? So speaking of that, I'll go to our younger generation. Kayla, you have anything? What was your questions?
Yeah. What are some lessons that you've learned about customer service in the construction supply industry?
That's a good one. So what I've learned, being involved in sales pretty much all my life, is to always be truthful with the customer. One thing I learned the very beginning is I wanted to be the guy that had the answers when the contractor asked me, hey, do you know about this product? I wanted to be the guy that says, yes, I know everything about that, when I really didn't. And I can recall at that time it was a company called M&O Plastering, and I can recall them telling me, you don't know what you're talking about. I go, I don't. He goes, go find out, come back and give us that. And so from that day forward, I learned that it's okay to say, I don't know that information. Let me look into it, and I'll get right back to you. I think that the contractors appreciate that, the estimators. You don't have to have all the answers all the time. But when you say, I don't know that, I'll get back to you, it's my job or the salesman's job to research that right away and get that information back to that person. And that's made me a better salesperson because I'm not afraid to say, I don't know that, let me get back to you.
Yes, that's perfect. And what advice would you give someone just wanting to maybe join a supply company like L&W? What advice can you give to someone that wants to be in the supply industry?
I think sales is a unique kind of a situation. You have to be outgoing. You have to have a little bit of a personality. You can't be shy or afraid to talk to people. But
You have to know what you want to say.
yeah, but the thing about
You're a social butterfly.
Yes.
You're like our Jack.
me?
You.
Me? I am.
Yes, it's nice. Breath of fresh air.
But
You always
no,
know
but
when
I
who's
think
coming.
there's a need for younger people to come in to the sales division on the bill of material side, and not just males. I think females have done very well. I think
Absolutely.
Pam Henley is now with Action. She's been very successful.
We love her.
So it can't just be males. So females have also getting involved in the industry, and I think that that's a good thing. But it's just wanting to try and getting the opportunity. I can recall when I first started off, we want somebody experience, and I remember telling one guy, goes, well, how in the hell am I supposed to get experience if you don't give me a chance?
Right.
Yeah,
And I think that even goes for our own, laborers. It's like,
Yes.
how do you, know how to do this if you're not willing to
That is
give it a
correct.
shot and give somebody a
That is
try?
correct.
And then just touching base on that, you have your family in the business. I mean, Steven's with Stowe. but I know he started, in other areas too.
So Stephen, when I wanted to get into business, I hooked him up with Wright Brothers back then.
Yeah.
Alan the Beta. And Alan goes, he doesn't know anything. I go, it doesn't matter. Give him a chance.
Right.
And so Alan did do that. And then Stephen was selling materials like I am. And then he finally went to Stowe. And Stephen has been with Stowe now, I think it's 15 or 16 years.
Wow, that long. Okay.
Yeah, and he does a great job. He works very hard. And so the
He
funny...
takes a little bit after Dad. He's a social butterfly too.
Well, it's in the Bronze genes. And so the fun part I had when I was with BMI, when they had the BMI acrylics, and Stephen was selling Stowe, is I used to call him and say, that job you had with Stowe, I just changed over to BMI. And he'd get all pissed off. He'd get all mad. Dad! And I was be kidding and stuff like that. So I enjoyed that part with him. And then at BMI, I had Dana. My daughter is the one that started the lab for color matching. And
Absolutely.
Dana had she did murals and stuff like that. She did a mural for your mom and dad.
She did a beautiful mural
Yeah.
that I see, all the time at my parents' house.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a beautiful artist.
Yeah.
Check her out.
Yeah.
Doesn't she have like a little storefront or
She
something?
has a storefront in Sonora.
Okay.
It's called Nest in a Nook.
Oh, okay.
So she
cute.
does a great job, and
Yeah.
she's very artistic. So she's the one that started the color lab for us acrylic at BMI when I first started there.
Yeah.
But also having your daughter work for you was not always a perfect thing.
No.
I was always tough on her a little bit before the employees. And then when she didn't like what I said, she'd come home, tell mom, and then not only I'd hear from her, but then I'd come home and Rob would say, why did you do that about your daughter? Why are you doing
Yeah.
that? And it's like, that was always tough for me.
It is. It is tough. I had to, I had a conversation with these two this morning on something, and yesterday my son wasn't talking to me because I had similar conversation with him. So, and it's all work related.
Yeah, but I had to learn,
but-
looking back now, they were an employee, but I expected more out of them
Absolutely.
because they were mine. And I didn't want to think that the other employees thought that I was showing favoritism.
Right.
And so, but then I kind of screwed up on it a little bit. But and then my daughter Sandy also worked for me for in the front office a little bit, and then she went to the color lab for 2 or 3 years. And her and I, so Sandy and Dana, we got into it all the time because Dad was always tough.
Yeah. And I still am friends with Sandy.
Yes.
We still
Yeah.
converse on social media. So
Yeah.
it's definitely, not just, definitely family, personal relationships over here.
Yes.
So I think that's cool. Kira, what did you have on your little list?
Competition out there. We know the different suppliers. So how do you maintain such a competitive edge in a dynamic trade?
Well, so you're right. There's a lot of competition. We all sell the same products. We all have the same products. We all try to get the same customers. The only difference between the suppliers is the way that a salesperson treats their customer.
Yeah.
And it's the relationship. This business is about relationships. Relationships and pricing are important, but the relationship will always win over pricing. And I think with the O'Donnells, with Chet and Marlene and you, I think that's a testament to that. But it's just service. It's just making sure that you as a salesperson call back, take care of the needs. If they have an issue, if they have a need, you have to fix that problem. And I'll use a small example of that, a job that when I was at BMI, we did the Stanford, I think it was called Stanford Student Housing, Shauna? Was it DEF
GSB,
CON? I think DEF CON.
Yep.
So there was, that job there was a massive job. We had a problem with the color. DEF CON was not happy. The school was not happy. And I can recall meeting with Chet and Chet saying, there's a problem, what we're going to do. I don't want to continue. And so I came in and told him, you continue using the product. We will stand by you and I will back you up. And he said, okay, I believe you and did that. And so we did finish the job. There was money exchanged because there was extra labors involved in that. But I can recall Chet saying, you're a man of your word.
Right.
And so that's the difference between the different companies. is the person that's representing that company, is he going to stand behind the product, and is he going to stand behind the company and says, I promise this, I'm going to make sure it gets done. And sometimes that doesn't always happen because the dealers don't stand behind what their salesmen are saying. So I've always been fortunate with that.
Right. It just reminded, I know we talked about that not that long ago, but now that you brought it up again, I remember with the warranty.
Yep.
And yes, you very much stood behind that product and, keeping your word. And
I mean,
know
that's
gold
a
to my
salesman's
dad.
job is keeping the word and say, look, if I'm going to come to you and ask you for your business, I have to take the good and the bad.
Right.
You just can't take all the good. There's always going to be bad. It's the construction. But the thing is, when it's bad, you step up and you do the right thing for the contractor. Make sure they're being taken care of.
Right.
Period.
Absolutely. So, what strategies do you use to keep yourself and your team motivated and engaged?
That's kind of a big question. I consider myself a happy guy. Mm-hmm. I enjoy that. I can recall, I don't know if I should say this, but it's kind of funny. I recall one time, I don't know, it was about maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I got out of the shower. I was in the mirror. I didn't have a shirt on, and Robin was still. No, it's good. No, Robin was still in bed, and I go, Rui, you look good. You're the man.
You go.
And so Robin goes, who are you talking to? I says, myself. She
funny.
goes, you're
Love
crazy. But that's what you have to do.
Yeah, you have to do the positive affirmations.
Yes.
We train ourselves to say that.
Yes.
So kudos to you.
I kind of talk to myself, stuff like that. I like music. Mm-hmm. There's certain music that I play in the car that keeps me pumped up.
Yeah.
So I like that. But I like what I do. Mm-hmm. I'm a people person. I like people.
Passion.
Yeah, I do.
And I think you have to have passion and enjoy what you do. I think in any of, the mentors or mentees, I mean, that I think is the biggest thing, and I tell even these guys, if you don't like what you do and excited to come to work, then maybe this is not, the place for you. I mean, I know it's difficult to get out of bed, but once you do, when you're driving to your workplace, are you excited? And that's, I think, what makes, an employee productive, keeps them engaged, keeps them excited, is if they love their job.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
hopefully.
that's how I keep myself motivated. Mm-hmm. But for me, it's not hard because that's just my personality.
Yeah. Well, good. And then touching base on mentors, you being around in the industry for so long, who has been your mentor, that helped get you to where you're at today, if there was one?
Well, I think Dan Silva, the manager that hired me from Pacific Ready Mix, he was a mentor. Mm-hmm. Working with Coke Rios back in the days of the King Stucco days, he was a man that when he walked in a room, people respected him. He was kind of a guy that had this aura about him, and he just attracted people. So I looked at him, and he was kind of a mentor for me. Mike Locks, a good friend. He was always positive, always encouraged me, was good. Your dad was always big. He always encouraged me. And people would say, why do you always play golf only with the O'Donnells? And so I'll answer that. No. I'll answer that question now, because playing golf with your dad, it was not stressful. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was Chet, and Chet liked to have fun in the golf course, and so I enjoyed that. I remember one time I was playing, and I had a lot of shots, and he goes, hey, Rui. I go, what's up, Chet? He goes, shut her down. He goes, take your club, put her in the bag, and let's move on to the next hole. And so he was that kind of a person. So your dad was kind of a mentor. Jimmy Johnson was a mentor.
Yeah.
People like that
Yeah.
were just in my life and when I first started.
It's nice to be able to keep those names and those memories alive.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
They're the best. So what do you do in your spare time when you're not busy at work?
Well, that's I enjoy my quiet time, because I'm always on the phone, and so I enjoyed the phone not ringing on the weekends or sometimes at night. One thing that I'm pretty passionate about is the police officers, Gilroy Police Department, and I'm very big into that. The Gilroy Police Foundation, I'm the president of that. I've been their president for 9 years. We raise funds for the police department for stuff that is not on their budget. I enjoy them. I believe in the police department, not just the Gilroy, but all police officers. I respect them for what they do. And so raising money for the Gilroy Police Department is one of my passions.
Yeah, yeah.
And I love going on ride-alongs.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
That's like, that gets the blood flowing.
Yeah.
I've had some pretty cool experiences with them.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do that. I should try to maybe do that because that
Yes.
sounds exciting. Exactly.
And I like politics.
You do.
And we
do.
won't talk about those.
No, we won't because, as probably, one side's blue, one side's red.
That is correct.
But, that's the dynamic of here. We can definitely talk about that. We're not going to say, well, you don't get my order for the day because you're, voting a certain way or whatever.
And that's the thing about your dad. When I used to come in, like I said, we cover a lot of topics.
Oh, yeah.
We would check on our spouses, how they're doing, kids, and then somehow Chet and I would always kind of go into the politics. And I know your dad was a Democrat. I'm on a Republican
He was
side.
actually a Republican. My dad he's a registered Republican.
I never knew that. I always thought he was a Democrat.
Well, that's because he voted. No. So we see, we're not going to go into politics.
Okay, no.
But yeah.
But with Dad,
Yeah.
though, I mean, we could come together and talk, and there was
Right.
never any hard feelings. And I think that's the way it should
Absolutely.
be today. Whether
Yes.
you believe one side and the other, it is what it
Absolutely.
is.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And that was the big thing on the DNC last night was just to love your neighbor, not have all these,
I don't like
politics.
my neighbors.
I know.
Just kidding.
I love it, love it. So, and I think that, again, I can't even touch base on that enough because I think that's what's cool. I mean, we celebrate our birthdays together and,
Yep.
just everything. I mean, and I, wish more people, were like that, because I think there would be a lot more, peace in the world, I guess we want to say, but I think that's cool.
Yeah.
So, to wrap things up, Kira, what was your last question you had?
Yeah, I know you kind of went over it, but could you just give a little bit of advice for anybody just starting out?
Yeah, I mean, I think starting out, it's not hard. I think it's just an opportunity that needs to happen. The companies today need to give somebody a chance. They're always looking for someone that's been in the industry for a lot of years, had a lot of contacts, because that person can bring instant business right away. And that's not always the case. I just think people, building material yards or any kind of, they need to give people a chance because they might be surprised that person might be successful. When I first started, I didn't know anything about this industry. Somebody took a chance on me and gave me an opportunity. And so I was all excited. I remember they gave me a company car and it had like a little radio, like a police car, and it would talk amongst all of us, and it was pretty cool. And so it was always a lot of fun. And I also, talking about Pacific Ready Mix, the owner of Pacific Ready Mix back then, his name was Bud Hughes. And at that time, golf was just becoming like a thing, but he did not want us to play golf. He wanted us to take the contractor to a bar and sit there all afternoon until you got the order. I'm going, dude, you can only drink so much. And I can recall going to lunches and being at the bar from 11:30, not leaving until 5 o'clock. And I can remember how I got home sometimes. But it was different times.
Yeah,
it was
different
different times.
different
But
times.
that was back what they did. Now, our companies don't want us to go spend time at the bar. They prefer us to go play golf and spend that time. But it's kind of different, kind of interesting how the industry kind of changes a little bit. So,
Yeah, no, absolutely. Definitely different times when, bringing a 12-pack on a Friday afternoon to, thank them for a good job. Those days are, long gone.
so Pacific Ready Mix was the beginning, when that's when times were different. I can recall in River City, there used to be a refrigerator outside. So when you came in, gave your order, you'd walk one door, but you would go out the door, and it was like a little kitchenette, and it had a refrigerator there. And that refrigerator had vodka, whiskey bottles inside there, and customers would go by and just take a swig. But those were different times.
Yeah.
That was different times back then.
Yeah.
And you're right. We used to bring beer to the job sites, and the guys would drink beer. Now we can't do stuff like that.
No.
It's changed, but it's kind of fun to kind of look back and see where we came from and where we're going to today.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And with that being said, what do you find most rewarding about working in this construction industry?
I think what people don't realize about the construction industry, there's great people.
Yes.
And when you've been in it for so long, there's great friendships. The construction people are very hard workers. They do a good job. They work hard. They provide a lot of jobs for a lot of families. I just think that the construction industry is it's a family. It's not an industry, but it's a family. The friends that I've met in this business, they're my best friends.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been with them for 30 years. I spend more time with the contractors like you guys, like yourselves, than I do with my own family. And you just build that relationship.
Yes. And you get to see your material up on those buildings and knowing that, oh, I gave them that.
I remember when I first started, the kids would be little, they'd be in the back, and Robin would be in the front. We'd drive. See that building? With that plastering products, that building wouldn't be done. And she got so tired of hearing, don't tell me. I know.
I know.
My dad does that to us all the
Yeah,
time.
so it was kind of fun to go back. Was that product? And or I sold that job. I know I've heard that 15 times.
And that's, I think, what's amazing in construction is exactly, Kayla, you keyed on it, is we're able to say, we built that, or you're able to see visually the finished product.
Yes.
I mean, and how beautiful is that? Not that any other jobs aren't, equally as important, but, to be able to see something getting built all the way to the finish line is kind of remarkable. And to know, yes, support your blue collared workers because they work darn hard.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I do. And it's like I said, I love this industry. I mean, I've been in it for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
It's done a good job for me and my family, and the relationships. It's just,
Right.
amazing.
Yes. So is there anything you would like to add that we didn't touch base on, or,
I think
what's a typical day in the life of Rui Bronze? I mean, what do you do from start to finish? I know we get you up early and you're driving clear from where Gilroy.
Yep.
So that's a little ways because L&W's office is on Center Road. Is that right? Yeah. So I imagine you're battling the traffic going back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much sit in my car.
And tell yourself, I'm freaking amazing, right?
Well, no, sometimes sometimes I cuss the customers in front of me because they're going too slow.
Oh, gosh.
A typical day for me is I'll look over the emails before I take off and respond to those. I typically get up about 5:30, and I look at that. And then I leave, and usually I try to plan my day and try to see, 4 to 5 customers, because back in the days, I wanted you to see 6 or 7. Well, the traffic back then was different.
Right.
Traffic today, it just takes a long time. Like this morning, to come to be here with you guys this morning, I left at 6:30 because the traffic coming up, I just don't know what it's like. If there's an accident on 101, you're pretty much stuck. There's no other freeways. And
a lot more cars on the road.
Yeah. So I typically do that. I try to take people to lunch. I try to bring like pastries in the morning. So I try to keep my day pretty well flowing.
Nice.
And then sometimes there's situations that happen you have to fix. So that changes your plans. But typically is just seeing people on the phone all the time. And I try to watch for cops because they're looking for you on the phone all the time.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we thank you very, very much.
Thank you for inviting me. This has been awesome.
Yeah. So appreciate everything that you provide to us, the personal, the business, just everything, you know.
No, this is great stuff.
It's not something we take lightly, and we definitely treasure. And I think I could speak on, behalf of the entire ODP team, including my mom. I know she wishes she was here, but it takes her a little bit longer in the mornings.
If your mom was here, this conversation be
Oh,
going for
it would be. It would be a lot different. So, in order to keep it moving, flowing.
Yes.
But again, we appreciate that. And if you have any new products or anything you want to share, anything, this is an open platform. So you're with L&W. I know.
Love L&W Supply. They're
Yeah.
they're a great. L&W Supply has got so many locations. We can take care of the customer. If the thing about L&W is, if say for example, San Jose is too busy, we can always call Hayward. We can always call Benicia, and Amy is the manager in Benicia. I think she belongs to member of AWIC.
Yeah.
I think it is. Yeah. So you got Watsonville. So there's different opportunities, and I think that's what makes my job easier. It's because I can call at other locations to fit your need to take the service. And so I love L&W. They're a great company. I think they're run very well, and I'm enjoying what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, no, we've had an excellent, relationship, and on, Kim, I'll give her a shout out with L&W because she gets my lean releases, pretty.
That's always important.
Yep, that is important because we want to get paid to
That's correct.
pay you. So, when I could ever get a lean release, a quick turnaround, and I think everybody, the subs that are listening as well as the GCs would appreciate that.
Yeah.
So that's important. If you do ever have new products or something, be sure to send them our way because we will put them on the airways. I know with WACA, we used to do, or, you brought back Jimmy Johnson, how we used to do the membership meetings and have a material supplier. I know that is a part of our industry that a lot of people wish it comes back, but I know we have filled it with new other activities, that's kind of changing in the industry. But,
Don Archuleta, I remember.
Yeah.
Don was a big part of the Jimmy Johnson meetings that we used to have once a month.
Yeah.
And I remember Don when he first came into the industry. He's a great guy, very
He
sharp.
still wants them. He's still trying.
Very smart.
I know.
And so he's a good man.
Yeah.
I mean,
We still try to, but like I said, we've incorporated so many other, with our CEA awards, with the golf tournaments, with our Top Golf. When it's hard because there is so many, new products out there, and there is so many, suppliers, and you're all trying to. So, yeah, I think we just all try to do the best we can, right, in the industry and the day we are in. So, again, we tremendously appreciate and thank you for taking the time out to join us.
I've enjoyed this.
Yeah.
I want to do it again.
Okay.
I don't know what I'll talk about, but yes, we could do this again.
Yeah. So, in a quick little plug for ODP, we are, currently looking for another estimator. Rob is not going anywhere, or Mike. But if you are in the market and looking for a new position with a fun family dynamic, subcontractor, and you specialize in lath and plaster and, some other new innovative ideas to bid jobs, give us a call, 408-988-4965. And we thank you and appreciate you guys tuning in. If you want to be a part of our podcast and join us with an interview, again, give us a call, reach out, and send us a DM. We are on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, links to our website, getting out there. So thank you for tuning in to Beyond the Trowel. Appreciate it.
Until we talk again.